picture this. Meghan Markle, once the symbol of independence, glam, and reinvention, picking up the phone and dialing none other than David Beckham. But this isn't to catch up over dinner or discuss a potential collaboration. No, this time, Meghan was asking Beckham for something much bigger. A $20 million loan. Yep, you heard that right, $20 million. And what did Beckham do? He didn't hesitate for a second. He simply said no. That no was more than just a rejection. It cracked open everything Meghan's been desperately trying to keep together. This wasn't some casual, harmless request. It was a panic move. A move that exposed the truth behind her so-called ethical lifestyle empire, which, let's just say, isn't living up to the hype. This wasn't just about money, it was about the image, the brand, and the fallout from one of the biggest names in sports and business publicly distancing himself from her. Because when someone like Beckham walks away, it sends a message, don't touch this. But why does this refusal matter so much? Why is Beckham's no such a big deal in the grand scheme of things? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. Because this moment has far-reaching consequences that are bigger than just a celebrity rejecting another celebrity's pitch. And trust me, it's only the tip of the iceberg. When Meghan Markle launched her lifestyle brand, as ever, the world was watching. The pitch was bold. An ethical, luxurious empire that promised to redefine wellness and redefine the way we looked at luxury products. The candles were priced like rent, the wine like a 5-star experience, and the whole brand was marketed with the kind of high-end allure you'd expect from someone of her stature. But here's the catch. While Meghan was busy trying to position herself as a modern-day wellness mogul, something wasn't clicking. Consumers didn't buy it. From the get-go, as Evers felt more like a vanity project than a viable business. The candles, for instance, sold out in 45 minutes. But here's the thing, it wasn't a massive success. Insiders claim there were only 10 candles in that first batch. That's not a launch, it's a PR stunt. And the wine? Well, let's just say that it was more about the backstory than the taste. And even influencers couldn't help but mock it on camera. The internet went wild. One influencer joked that the candle smelled like Montecito Det, while another spat out the wine, claiming it tasted like desperation. Instead of her high-end wellness brand becoming the next big thing, it became the joke of social media. What was supposed to be Meghan's grand new chapter became a punchline. And that's just the beginning of the story. David Beckham is no stranger to calculated risk. His name is synonymous with success, not just in football, but in business. When he invests or backs something, it carries weight. So, when Meghan Markle reached out to him for a $20 million loan to fund As Ever, it wasn't just a casual request. It was her last-ditch effort to save her failing empire. But Beckham's response wasn't what she expected. Without hesitation, he said no. Now, why does this refusal matter so much? It's not just because Beckham turned her down. It's because of what that no symbolizes. Beckham's brand is built on a reputation for being strategic, measured, and calculated. If he doesn't see value in something, it's not just a rejection, it's a warning. The message sent to Hollywood, investors, and everyone watching was clear. This project, this brand, this whole image Meghan's been selling, it's not worth the investment. This wasn't just one celebrity turning down another. It was one of the most respected names in business, signaling that Meghan's brand wasn't worth touching. And in the world of Hollywood and high-stakes investments, that kind of signal can be career-ending. The Beckham effect was a wake-up call for anyone still considering backing Meghan. And it wasn't long before more doors started quietly closing. Once upon a time, Meghan Markle's inner circle was a who's who of the Hollywood elite. Oprah, Tyler Perry, Serena Williams. They were her ride-or-die crew, the ones who publicly supported her royal exit and the start of her independent life in California. Oprah even gave Meghan and Harry a mansion to stay in during their transition out of the royal spotlight. It was a story of freedom, reinvention, and new beginnings. But now, the silence is deafening. Oprah, radio silent. Tyler Perry, completely quiet. Serena Williams, not a word. These weren't just friends, they were business heavyweights. The kind of people who don't just stand by you, they build with you. So, when they start disappearing from the public narrative, it speaks volumes. In the world of business, when your closest allies suddenly distance themselves, it's not just a sign of tension, it's a glaring red flag. The irony of it all. Meghan once touted her departure from the royal family as her chance for complete independence. She and Harry were going to build something new, something real, without the constraints of the monarchy. But now, fast forward, and here she is, dialing up her celebrity friends for financial help. Where did that financial freedom go? Where's the new empire she promised? Because now, it's starting to look like she traded one institution for another. Only this one doesn't come with castles or tiaras. It comes with invoices, expectations, and, most importantly, a mounting pressure that even her former allies can't seem to bear. Meghan Markle's brand, as ever, was marketed as the ultimate blend of luxury and authenticity. A lifestyle revolution and a candle, a wine, a piece of high-end wellness. But the reality, not so much. From the moment the brand launched, it was clear that Meghan's image was the main attraction, not the substance behind the products. The candles, priced like a monthly rent payment, were supposed to embody some sort of wellness utopia. But instead, they became a punchline. Social media exploded with people mocking everything from the recycled glass jars to the handwritten labels. One influencer even lit the candle on camera and deadpanned, "Smells like Montecito debt." The reality, it was more style than substance. And then there was the wine marketed as a luxurious, handcrafted masterpiece with a backstory about healing and connection. What it delivered, however, was a taste that many couldn't help but compare to desperation. The product was quickly branded as a luxury fail, and even the progressive wellness crowd, who were supposed to be her loyal audience, didn't buy it. Critics weren't shy about calling out the brand's lack of authenticity. One blog review called, as ever, a parody of privilege, while another described it as soulless and embarrassing. An embarrassing mogul couldn't cover up the fact that the brand wasn't built to last. Meghan wanted to redefine luxury, but instead, she defined what happens when that luxury feels completely out of touch. It wasn't about creating something meaningful, it was about creating an image. But in the ruthless world of business, images alone don't survive. Without real value, real connection, and a product that resonates beyond the glossy photos, even the most polished brands can quickly collapse. When Meghan and Harry stepped away from royal duties, they promised to build an empire based on their name, their story, and their platform. The world watched, curious about what they would do next, and for a while, it looked like they had it all. Netflix inked a multi-million-dollar deal, and Spotify gave them a podcast deal to create content that would redefine media. But now, as the dust settles, it's becoming clear that the momentum they once had is slipping away. Netflix, once their biggest partner, is quietly pulling back. The $100 million deal that was supposed to be their golden ticket, it's not performing as expected. What started as an exciting new chapter quickly fizzled out. Viewers tuned in initially out of curiosity, but the content wasn't living up to the hype. By the second season, numbers were flat, and critics grew louder. The platform began shifting focus to projects that actually delivered, while Meghan's content was quietly placed on the back burner. Then there's Spotify. Archetypes, Meghan's podcast, was supposed to be her breakthrough into the audio space, but after just one season, Spotify pulled the plug. Behind closed doors, insiders called it a mistake, and one even used the word grifter to describe the Sussexes. That label stuck quickly, and suddenly, Meghan wasn't just seen as a former royal trying to build a new life. She was seen as a celebrity, riding on her past fame with little to offer now. Hollywood is a place that thrives on momentum. Once you lose it, things change fast. And Meghan, she's deep in that cold, quiet space where the producers, the investors, and the brands who once welcomed her are now shutting their doors. It's a brutal industry, and the second you stop delivering, they move on. And right now, the momentum that once fueled Meghan's grand plans is running out. The truth is, Meghan Markle's brand was never built to last. It was constructed on promises of independence, reinvention, and a new era of celebrity-driven business ventures. But the foundation beneath it all was shaky. And now, with every failed deal, every awkward product launch, and every unanswered call, that foundation is cracking. When Meghan pitched her brand as ever to investors, she wasn't just selling luxury products or a high-end lifestyle. She was selling a version of herself, a modern-day, self-made mogul who had it all together, who was shaking up the system. But here's the problem. That version of Meghan Markle, the confident, independent force, no longer exists in the eyes of many. What she brought to the table wasn't the polished image of a successful entrepreneur. It was a trail of failed ventures, lawsuits with family members, rumors of marital stress, and a public that was growing increasingly skeptical. David Beckham didn't turn her down because he didn't like her. He turned her down because he didn't see value in what she was offering. In business, nobody cares about your past headlines. They care about what you can do next. And right now, Meghan's brand isn't delivering anything that feels substantial or sustainable. Hollywood is all about results, not reputation. Once you're no longer delivering, even the most loyal allies can't justify sticking around. That's what's happening to Meghan right now. Her brand is fading fast, and it's no longer enough to just rely on her famous name or her past as a royal. In the ruthless world of business, the truth is starting to settle in. It's not about your image, it's about what you can consistently provide. And right now, Meghan's brand is running on empty. It's a tough pill to swallow, but the harsh reality is that Meghan Markle's entire post-royal strategy was built on a myth. The myth that her name alone, her story, her fame, her image would be enough to carry her to success in Hollywood. She thought that by simply stepping away from the monarchy, she would automatically become the beacon of independence, the self-made media mogul, the entrepreneur who could redefine industries. But now, it's clear, fame alone doesn't create empires. Her brand, as ever, was supposed to be the face of a new kind of luxury, authentic, ethical, and exclusive. Instead, it turned into a cautionary tale about the dangers of relying too heavily on image without substance. The failed product launches, the dismissive reviews, the quiet withdrawals from her former allies, they all signal one thing: Meghan's empire is built on shaky ground. And it's not just about products that flop or deals that fail. It's about the core of what makes a successful brand: trust, consistency, and results. Meghan's empire never built those foundations. She relied too much on the glittering idea of celebrity culture and ignored the need for real connection with consumers. In a world where consumers are more skeptical than ever, a 90-candle or overpriced wine doesn't stand a chance without genuine authenticity behind it. The question now is no longer whether As Ever will recover. It's whether Meghan Markle can recover at all. Because as her brand crumbles, so too does the carefully crafted image she worked so hard to build. The people who once cheered her on are now growing silent. And the public, who once saw her as the underdog with something to prove, is starting to ask, what is Meghan really offering? Not in terms of image or branding, but in terms of real value. When the hype dies down, when the A-listers stop picking up the phone, and when the products don't deliver, what's left? For Meghan, the answer is starting to look like just a name that once carried weight, but now echoes in a world that no longer listens. Meghan Markle's grand experiment, the one where she reinvented herself as a mogul, a media force, a woman who could escape the royal shadows and build something entirely new, has come to a crashing halt. What was supposed to be a thriving empire built on independence, wellness, and luxury now looks more like a cautionary tale of what happens when a brand is more about image than substance. From the failed launches of As Ever to the crumbling support of her once loyal inner circle, it's clear that the promises Meghan made both to herself and to the world were harder to keep than anyone anticipated. David Beckham's rejection, once seen as just a financial setback, now stands as the turning point in her journey, a symbol of how far she's fallen from the days when everyone believed her to be unstoppable. But perhaps the hardest truth of all is this: Meghan's brand was never going to survive on reputation alone. Hollywood, business, and even the public have long since moved past the idea that fame can carry you through anything. They want results. They want authenticity. And right now, Meghan's brand, her empire, is failing to deliver on both. So, what's left? Once the smoke and mirrors fade away, what do we have left of Meghan Markle's post-royal experiment? A name, a story, and a growing silence from the people who once championed her. The media isn't waiting for her next big comeback. It's watching to see if she can even survive this collapse. The Meghan Markle experiment wasn't destroyed by scandal or royal drama. It crumbled under the weight of its own promises. And in the ruthless world of Hollywood and business, the only thing worse than being forgotten is being irrelevant. And that, for Meghan, is the most difficult truth of all.